am Hanamiway Madolara, and our topic is residue-restricted diet. Residue-restricted diet, also known as a low-residue diet, is a type of meal plan that limits foods that leave undigested materials or residue in the large intestine. Residue includes fiber, seeds, nuts, tough fruits, vegetable skins, and some dairy products. The main goal of this diet is to reduce the amount and frequency of stool, helping the digestive tract rest and preventing irritation. The residue-restricted diet has four main purposes. First, to reduce bowel movements. By limiting foods that create residue, the digestive system produces fewer stools, kaya nababawasan ang bowel activity nito. So, number 2 is to decrease symptoms. This diet helps lessen abdominal pain, cramping, bloating, and diarrhea, lalo na kapag may gastrointestinal flare-ups ito. Number 3, to allow the bowel to rest and heal. Kapag nababawasan ang stress sa bituka, nagkakaroon ito ng time na mag-rest at mag-heal, especially after inflammation, surgery, or injury. Number 4, to minimize the risk of blockage. Para sa mga pasyenteng may narrowed or swollen intestines, low residue foods help prevent large or hard stools na maaaring maging sanhi ng obstruction. There are 5 indications that I put. It is when it is prescribed. So, this diet is recommended in specific medical situations. So, number 1, before and after bowel surgery. Nakakatulong ang residue-restricted diet na mabawasan ang stool volume para maiwasan ang irritation at masupport ang healing after surgery. Number 2, support acute flare-ups of inflammatory bowel diseases. Sa conditions tulad ng Crohn's disease at ulcerative colitis, this diet helps reduce inflammation and discomfort dahil pinapahinga nito ang intestines. So, number 3 is for individuals with diverticulitis. Kapag may inflammation sa small pouches ng colon, paglimit ng fiber helps reduce pain at maiwasan ang further irritation. So, number 4 is during intestinal narrowing or partial obstruction. Kung masikip o namamaga ang bituka, low residue foods help prevent blockage at mas pinapadali ang pagdigest. 5. Before certain diagnostic procedures like colonoscopy. So, minsan, nire-recommend ito ng doctors para malinisan ang intestines at mas maging clear ang visibility during sa exam. So, in summary sa aking part, a residue-restricted diet or residue diet or low residue diet is a term eating plan na tumutulong pagpababa ng stool, maglessen ng discomfort, mag-support ng healing at maiwasan ng blockage sa digestive tract. Usually, itong nire-recommend para sa mga may bowel problems like inflammation or kapag may kailangan na medical procedure.
I begin, let me introduce myself first. My name is Hannah Ginal, and let's proceed to the characteristics of residue-restricted diet. So let's move on to the characteristics of the residue-restricted diet. These are the goals: is to reduce the bulk and frequency of the stools and provide the bowel rest. Ito yung allows the digestive tract to recover. Is to provide bowel rest, of course, and then to reduce stool volume and frequency. It is the lessen strain on the digestive system. So there are foods that is allowed and not allowed. The foods that is allowed to eat and drink is only those foods that are easily digestible and it has a low fiber, less than a 1 to 2 grams of serving per serving. Tapos, yung mga bawal naman na pagkain at inumin sa during your diet is yung mga high fibers. High fibers or otherwise known to increase stool volume. Yun po yung mga, parang yung mga whole grains products, mga chewable meat, mga seeded and peeled vegetables, mga bawal po yun nakainin. Yung mga dried beans, lahat, all berries, pagkain with seeds, mga bawal yun. Yun ang mga bawal. Tapos yung mga spicy foods, bawal rin yun. Tapos yung mga chunky sauces and excessive intake of dairy, bawal din yun. So, let me repeat it again for the So, residue restricted diet is also known as a called low residue diet or low fiber diet. Kinakain mo para maping okay yung tummy mo. But to do that, you need to avoid eating high fiber foods. Only eat low fiber foods that is easily digested to your tummy. That's all.
Good day everyone. So our next topic is nutritional composition. So before we start, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Dainuk Saima, based in Tu. So let's start. Now, why is it important yung nutritional composition? It is because to ensure that diet provide enough energy and nutrients without causing harm or deficiency sa isang tao. So if hindi maayos yung kinain natin, hindi siya madaling ma-digest, is it can cause sa harm sa isang tao. Yung intestine niya or bowels niya is magkakaroon siya ng irritation. So dapat yung mga kinakain natin ng mga foods is madali siyang ma-release ng ating digestive system para hindi siya mag-cause ng harm sa ating intestine. Now, we do have a nutritional composition. So, the first is low fever. So, when you say low fever is, ito yung mga foods na madaling matuno ng ating katawan or ating digestive system. So, let's say example is white rice or bread or pasta, plain pasta. So, ito yung nakaka-help sa atin para mabawasan yung movement ng ating bituka, then hindi siya magkaroon ng irritation. So the next is moderate protein. So when you say moderate protein is it support tissue or repair the recovery while the intestine is rest. So the moderate protein naman is nagsusupport siya sa tissue natin and nag-help siya. Ito yung mga foods na nakaka-help sa atin. So while nagre-recovery, nagre-rest ang ating intestine. So let's say example is egg or Greek yogurt. So it always depends sa grams niya. So when you say sa moderate protein is dapat is kung kakain ka ng egg o Greek yogurt is dapat is 10 to 12 grams lang yung kakain mo per day. So the third is low moderate fats. So dapat yung kinakain mo is hindi siya as in malaki yung fats niya. Low to moderate fat, hindi malaki yung fats niya. Huwag kang kumain ng mga foods na like makakabigay sa ng fats like cheese. So nagkakaroon nito ng mahirap siyang tunawin ng ating katawan. So nagkakaroon ng irritation sa ating bitukas. So the fourth is refined carbohydrate are usually soft and easy to digest and low in fiber. So soft siya yung mga foods na easy siya when it comes sa digest and low din siya sa fiber. So the last one is limited fruits and vegetables. So not all the time is kailangan mong damihan yung kakain mong fruits and vegetables. So dapat magkaroon ka rin ng limit para sa mga kinakain mong mga fruits and vegetables. So it's all lahat ito is it's depende sa doktor kasi usually nire-recommend to ng mga doktor sa mga patient na may mga problem sa kanilang bituka or irritation like mga ulcer. So in nutritional composition, we do have advantage and disadvantage. So the first is doon tayo sa advantage. So the first na advantage ng nutritional composition is reduce bowel movement. So hindi gaano na move ang ating intestine. So hindi siya magkakaroon ng irritation. And the next is easy to digest. So since ang mga foods na kinakain natin is hindi siya ganong fatty and also the low fiber sila, so madali siyang i-digest ng ating katawan or ating intestine. So the next is less intestinal irritation. So nagkakaroon ng mas lumiliit yung irritational ng ating stomach during recovery. So the next naman, it help during recovery. So during recovery is nakaka-help siya sa ating katawan. Hindi lang siya nakaka-help, is nakaka-prepare din siya. Yung mga foods na kinakain natin is it help the intestine para maka-recovery siya. So not for long. So when you say not for long, yung ginagawa nating nutritional composition is hindi siya long time na gagawin natin or panghabang buhay. So there's a possibility kasi na effect niyan, hindi lahat ng bagay is napuprovide niya. Yung ginagawa lang niya is para ma-relax niya yung intestine natin or bituka natin during recovery, kasi ginagawa lang yan doon sa may mga tao na may sakit sila sa kanilang bituka. So hindi siya panghabang buhay na gagamitin natin or gagawin natin. So we do have a disadvantage. So we're here sa disadvantage. So the first one is low and inferior vitamins and minerals. So since this diet or sa mga foods is hindi siya enough na nakaka-provide ng essential nutrients sa ating katawan, like dietary fiber or vitamins na like vitamins A, C, and D, or minerals like iron, calcium, and magnesium. So itong mga vitamins na to is necessary na kailangan ng ating katawan. So during ginagawa natin yung diet na to or kinakain natin yung mga foods na yon is hindi niya literal na ma-provide yung mga vitamins na pangangailangan ng ating katawan. So the next is may lead to the nutrients deficiency. So when you say nutrients deficiency is since hindi na ma-provide yung mga pangangailangan natin ng ating katawan na mga necessary talaga, is magkakaroon siya ng possible na effect like anemia or maaaring mapahinan niya yung immune system natin. So the next is possible constipation. So when you say possible constipation is hindi gaano nasusupply sa atin yung fiber. So if ganun yung nangyayari sa atin, is may possible yung mga natin, yung pagtatay ng isang tao is matigas siya. So hindi siya normal, kaya kailangan pa din ng tamang supply ng fiber sa ating katawan. So you should follow under the guidance of the doctor. Kung ano yung binibigay sa'yo ng guide ng doctor is dapat i-follow mo yung, kasi siya yung mag-decide kung ano yung mga bagay na pwede mong kainin or not, kung ano yung mga diet na gagawin mo. So kung ano ibigay sa'yo ng guidance ng doctor is dapat i-follow mo. So that's it.
Hi everyone, my name is Maribelin Chu. I'm going to talk about the Sample Liquid Diet Plan. So the purpose of the Clear Liquid Diet Plan is ito yung mga liquid na diet na ginagamit sa patient na may mga gastrointestinal issues. So before siya magiging essential restricted or low fiber diet. So napoprovide to siya ng hydration and some energy while nag-minimizing ka ng residue in the digestive tract. So digestive tract is true liquid diet plan. So the first one is the breakfast. So for the breakfast is the first na inaano nila is yung water. So water is important to stay hydrated. And then the second one is the apple juice with no pulp. So ito yung apple juice na already a plain apple juice na na-remove na yung freshly or previous part ng apple na nagre-resulting to siya ng smooth liquid juice. So the second one is ang plain gelatin. O ito yung unflavored na gelatin, but it has a low fiber residuum. So, nagko-contain to siya ng no sugar. And then also, it is good for the patient because nag-include to siya ng clear liquid diet. Nag-include to siya ng low sodium and also a good source of protein and provides phosphorus, potassium, and iron. And then the second is ang coffee or tea without milk or cream and also sugar because coffee or tea is good for the patient, especially if through diet nga. So, no talaga na mga sugar, cream, or milk. And then, the mid-morning snacks is ang clear broth or chicken beef, or it can be a vegetable. So, and the second is water. And then, sa lunch naman is yung chicken or beef broth. Yung chicken or beef broth, ito yung mga soup, mga sabaw ng mga chicken or beef. Especially, wala siyang yung mga, wala siyang mga meat. Also, broth lang talaga. And then, the second is white grapes juice. So, white grape juice, and then plain gelatin, in-explain ko kanina, and then water again. And then, the mid-afternoon snack, apple juice na naman with no pulp, and then water. And then, for dinner is vegetable broth, cranberry, no pulp, like sa apple na no pulp, and then plain gelatin, and then water. And then sa evening snacks naman is tea lang, wala siyang milk or cream, plain tea. And then it can be plain popsicles, no fruit or dairy. And then sa special consideration naman is it is very important for patient. So the first one is hydration. So hydration is ito yung nagme-maintain ng mga fluid intake ng patient, especially if may diarrhea yung patient. And then sa individual tolerance is some are allowed or liquid may still cause symptoms, adjust as needed. So sa individual tolerance is pwede yung iba na ma-allow siya na liquid, but may iba kasi na still cause ng symptoms, so you can adjust as needed lang siya. And then sa nutrition deficiencies, so consult a dietitian for longer duration used to avoid deficiencies. So ito siya is for you want to longer duration, so you need to consult the dietitian para ma-avoid yung mga deficiencies, para makakos ng masasama para sa iyo. And then electrolytes balance, so ito yung monitor na fluid na nalulos na losses are high. And then the progression usually temporary, gradually transition to a low fiber then regular diet under medical guidance. So progression, ito yung some are temporary transition to a low fiber and irregular diet under the medical guidance.
Hi everyone, I am Binal Hara and you're about to learn that transitioning to next diet stage. Ano nga ba ang transitioning to next diet stage? Ano ang ibig sabihin nito? Ibig sabihin, ito ang paglipat mula sa diet na bawal ang maraming pagkain. Dapat dahan-dahan lang at bantayan mo ng mabuti. Parang sinusubukan mo lang kung ano na ulit ang kaya mong kainin. Ang goal dito ay unti-unti mong ibabalik yung fiber at iba pang pagkain na dati mong iniiwasan para makita mo kung okay na sa katawan mo. And this is how to do it. First is start with low fiber foods, meaning kumain ka muna ng malambot at lutong gulay at prutas at kaunting whole grain. Number 2, one food at a time. Magdagdag ka ng isang pagkain bawat ilang araw. Simulan mo sa maliit na portion para malaman mo kung may masamang epekto ba ito. The third one is monitor symptoms. Kung bumalik yung mga sintomas mo dati, tulad ng sakit ng tiyan, pag-utot at pagtatae, hinay-hinay ka muna. Kung sumakit ang tiyan mo, bumalik ka muna sa dati mong diet na okay sa'yo. The fourth one is hydration. Importante ito dahil dumadami na ang fiber na kinakain mo. And the last one is professional guidance. Mas maganda kung may tutulong sa iyong eksperto para mas sigurado. And now, let's move on to the patient's or nursing instructions. First is, read food labels. Turuan ng pasyente kung paano tignan ang fiber content sa etiketa ng pagkain. Ito'y para maiwasan nila ang mga pagkain na high residue o mataas na fiber na nagpapadami ng dumi. Number 2 is cooking methods. Ipayo ang mga madaling paraan ng pagluluto tulad ng pag-steam, pagpapakulo at pagbibake. Kailangan din nilang balatan ang gulay at prutas at tanggalin ang buto bago ito kainin para mas madaling matunaw. Number 3 is meal timing. Hilingin na kumain ng paunti-unti pero madalas para hindi masyadong mapagod ang tiyan at pito ka sa pagtunaw ng pagkain. Number 4 is hydration. Ipaalala na uminom ng maraming tubig o iba pang inumin sa buong araw. Malaking tulong ito para maiwasan ang paninigas ng dumi dahil sa mahabang fiber diet. Number 5 is medication interaction. Sabihin sa pasyente na kausapin ang kanilang doktor tungkol sa anumang posibleng maging epekto ng kanilang diet sa mga gamot na iniinom nila. Number 6 is when to call the doctors. Magbigay ng malinaw na listahan ng mga sintomas na kailangan ng tawagan agad ng doktor. Halimbawa, matinding sakit, hindi tumitigang na pagtae, lagnat o may dugo ang dumi. And the last one is long-term planning. Ipaliwanag na pansamantala lang ang diet na ito. Tulungan silang gumawa ng plano para unti-unti bumalik ang normal na pagkain at magkaroon ng masustansya at balancing diet sa pagmatagalan.
So, good day everyone. I am Hamima Emalama. So, our topic is all about the residue restricted diet. So, just a little bit recap. So, what is the residue restricted diet? So, it is a temporary eating plan designed to reduce the amount of undigested food that passes through the large intestine. So, here are the clinical example of residue restricted diet. So, Mrs. Chen, a 68 years old woman, was recently diagnosed with acute diverticulitis. She presented to the emergency department with severe lower left abdominal pain, fever, and constipation. After her initial stabilization, her physician prescribed a residue-restricted diet. So, what is acute diverticulitis? It is a sudden inflammation or infection of small pouches called diverticula that form in the wall of the large intestine. It typically causes symptoms like abdominal pain, fever, nausea, and changes in bowel habits. After her physician prescribed her a residue-restricted diet, so Mrs. Chen was placed on a clear liquid diet for 24 hours to give her colon complete rest. So this consisted of clear broth, apple juice, and gelatin. After 24 hours, her pain began to subside and she was transitioned to a full residue-restricted diet. So, her meal plan included breakfast, cream of wheat with little milk, a ripe banana, and a black coffee. Then for the lunch, baked cod with peeled, well-cooked carrots, white rice, and water. Then for the dinner, broiled chicken breast, peeled and washed potatoes, and clear chicken broth. Then for the snacks is plain vanilla pudding, peeled canned peaches. On the next few days, Mrs. Chan's symptoms continued to improve. She was advised to continue the residue-restricted diet for another week while her antibiotics completed their course. Her nurse also encouraged her to drink plenty of water and provided a detailed instructions on which food to avoid. She was also given a plan for gradually introducing high fiber foods once her symptoms completely resolved.